let's dive on in. Okay. So to make sure we hit the closer's pivot principle, it is 4 main points. All right. I'm going to walk through those. I'd recommend you take some notes. I will stay for just a couple minutes with some questions. But the way those 4 work are, number 1, we're going to work on isolating objections. Number 2, a leading question. Number 3, the actual pitch. And then number 4, a question. Okay. So I'll break down every single one of those and what that actually looks like. But let's talk about it. So let's say I am in a call with a seller, right? And in that call, the seller tells me, "Hey, Ajay, like, I'm just stuck at $80,000, right? I'm stuck at $80,000." And I tell him, "Hey, man, I've seen investors in the area are paying, let's call it $30,000 to $50,000. What would you say if an investor made an offer like that?" He says, "Absolutely not. I'd need at least 80." I'm like, "Okay, is it the lowest you can go?" "Yes." So we play the whole kind of tie down negotiation loop game. If you've seen some of my other videos before, our negotiation frameworks and how we do all that stuff. So if you haven't, there's fun stuff on YouTube. Check it out at Investing with Ajay. But let's say we get to a place and we can do it at 80,000, but we got to go to a double close, right? There's a formula that we use that is the 4 items I just broke down that I want to talk about today. Okay. So the first thing is actually isolating the objection, because the reason we can't do a flip price is because of typically the timeline. So we need to tie down both of those objections. The first one being time, the first one being price, the second one being time. So first I'm going to start with, okay, John, just so I understand, if my team were able to offer you $80,000, would there be anything preventing us from working together? Right? And John would say, no, if you could give me $80,000, we'd be good to go. Boom, guys, we just isolated our price objection. So price is the only thing stopping us from doing business together? Yes. So you can do it twice. That would be a double tie down for the objection, right? Next, we're going to go into a leading question, right? A leading question. And essentially, that is where we set up, like we tee up the rest of the conversation for our seller. So the way that might look is I would ask a question in one of 2 ways. Okay. So version 1 would be, okay, John, and remind me, you're not in any kind of rush to sell the property, right? Because look at that. I'm tweaking over to kind of a double close pitch, which typically the biggest difference is, or I need a longer closing timeline, basically, so I can market to a buyer, right? Is this making sense so far, guys? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to see who's on here live with us. I'm not sure if I'm seeing anything yet, but okay, great. So we get in, we got a leading question, right? Hey, just so I understand, there's you're not in any kind of rush to sell the property, right? No, not in any kind of rush. Okay, great. Well, if you're not in any kind of rush, then we'd get into our pitch, right? Before we do that, I want to talk about another way we can do the leading question. I heard this while doing a call review for a team I coached one-on-one for a while. And the closer had said, hey, would you say you are more in a rush, or, you're more flexible on your closing timeline? And now we've positioned a binary option, right? Or would you say you're more flexible, or would you say, you're more stuck on your timing, right? Well, most people are saying, oh, I never said I needed to sell. I could sell anytime I want. I could hold on to it, right? So we're going to use that to our advantage. So isolate the objection. Hey, just so I understand, there's nothing else stopping us from working together. Leading question. Hey, and you're not in any kind of rush to sell the property? Or would you say you're more or less flexible when it comes to selling timeline? Well, more flexible. Okay, great. Then we get into the pitch. Okay. So John, just so if I understand here correctly, this is actually great. We've got a way that we can work together. Do you want to hear more about it? Right. So I actually will ask a second leading question, even that's like leading question A, leading question B, but it like really tees up the next one, guys. So it's okay. Well, I actually have an option for us to work together here. Do you want to hear more about it? They're going to say sure. And then we're going to get into it. And essentially what it looks like is, and sorry guys, I'm raising my desk and my light is positioned very close here, but we're going to get into the pitch, which is, okay, well, hey, in the past 6 years of buying and selling property, we've learned a couple of different tools in the tool belt. Hey, we've got a bunch of different ways that we can do business. One of which is we're actually able to offer you more money, like we're talking about. The trade-off here is it ends up taking about 6 months, essentially. Sometimes we're able to close sooner than that. Sometimes we're not. It just sort of depends. But with a property owner like yourself that's, wanting closer to true market value, but also is way more flexible on timeline, like you had mentioned, this is the perfect way for us to work together. So if I were to put something like that together, I mean, would there be any reason we couldn't work together? And guys, there's a few variables in there you can play with. Like, what does your pitch look like? Some people don't mention it at all, right? What I'm trying to do is avoid a timing objection later, right? And so they'll just avoid it entirely and just hope it doesn't come up. You can do that. You will get some timing objections. You will get some people that just frankly don't sign. On the other end of that, you've got people that, will just walk it through in the agreement, right? Hey, so there's nothing else that's stopping us from working together? No, okay, great. Great. Well, then it looks like we might be able to work together. The only difference really here is the timing. So it's going to take us a little closer to 6 months, basically, just to line up another partner to work with on this, which is super normal in real estate transactions, right? So your pitch can sound infinitely different, guys. Today I'm really focused more on the framework than I am the specific pitch itself. But to recap so far, it's isolate our objection. Okay, so there'd be nothing stopping us from working together if I could get you $80,000. Great. Then it's a leading question. We kind of have baby leading question and papa leading question, if you will. So first, a big one. Okay, and you're not in any kind of rush to sell the property. Got it. Well, I actually do think we have a way to work together if you're open to hearing about it. Okay, great. Also, what's up, Vlad? What's up, Wade? Appreciate you guys jumping on. And then you get into the pitch. Hey, well, in the past 6 years, I've gotten really good at buying property. I've also gotten really good at partnering with other people when, we necessarily wouldn't take it down at that price point ourselves. And so basically, the only difference here is it's just going to take 3 or 4 months instead of the 30 days for us to close on this property. That just gives me time to talk to a couple of different partners about it, raise the money, get it done. Can I ask if we were to do it like that, would there be any reason we couldn't work together? What would our best next steps be, right? Finish off with a question of some kind. Remember, questions are what keep you in power in a conversation. So the one who's asking the question is the one in control of the conversation. And so that way we continue asking the question, we continue, moving the whole thing forward. But we can do this with more than just double closing. So that's the really cool thing about this, right? So let's swap out a couple of pieces in here and talk about what this might look like if you were to go from a cash offer to, say, owner finance, right? So instead, isolate question. Okay, hey John, if I could get you $80,000, would there be any reason we couldn't work together? No. And John, can I ask, for you, is it more about getting your price, or is it more about getting all that cash straight in your bank account, right? Or is it more about making sure that you get all that cash all at once, right? Whatever. Well, no, it's not about the cash. I just want to get my price. Okay. So just so I understand, if I could get you that price, but the terms might look a little bit different, I mean, would you want to hear more about that? Boom, teed up question. Now we get into the pitch. And something I might do in the pitch a lot is I like to realign identity with my sellers. What that might sound like is I might say, hey, Wade, typically what we do with sellers that are wanting closer to market value but are flexible on the actual terms is this concept called owner financing. Are you familiar with that term? Yes or no? Okay, well, basically what it is you get to play the bank, right? And so how we set this up is you and I agree on how much we'll be able to put down. You'll even make a little bit of money on interest. We'll pay you payments. And then over the next 3 or 5 years, you're going to collect payments and interest on the property. You're actually going to make more on it in the long term when you do it. The only difference is basically how much cash you collect up front. Can I ask, if I put that together, boom question, is that something you'd be interested in looking at? And now we got to take it down piece by piece. What are all the variables that might make owner finance fall apart, right? One of them might be the down payment. One of them might be the monthly payments. One might be the interest rate. So I would say you come with a strong proposal that serves you. Figure out how much they would want down to do that, and then boom, now we're in, right? But guys, this principle is so that you can pitch from cash closing in 30 days to double close pricing to owner finance to, we've got a couple guys in the community. John Obel's one of them, I know. Ray Siemens, another. They're both agents. John's out in Missouri. Ray's out in Florida. And you're able to potentially pivot from quick close to being a realtor and collecting commissions on it. And so here's what that might look like, right? Hey, Wade, can I ask if we were to get you that 80,000, would there be anything stopping us from working together? Okay, great. So, I mean, if we were to do this in a slightly different format, would there be any reason we couldn't work together? Are you open to a different type of working relationship other than me as the cash buyer? Well, what do you mean? Well, typically with sellers like yourself or property owners like yourself, I like to call them property owners, not sellers. Typically with property owners like yourself, what we like to do is, I'll share with you, I'm actually a licensed agent. And so I prefer to buy properties in outright cash. But in the event that I connect with somebody, they've got a situation where they want to really get top dollar for it, well, I can actually represent you and we can go on market and I can see, how much we can get for the property. Can I ask if we were to put that together? I mean, would you be opposed to us working together in that type of relationship? And obviously I'd get a commission on whatever we sell. I mean, is there any reason we couldn't work together like that? Right. So something like that. That's me off the cuff right now. I'm obviously not an agent, so that's not a pitch I've ever done before. So isolate the objection, leading question, pitch, and then you close off with a question, right? So guys, this is a really, really simple one here. We're only about 15 minutes into this right now, but that's pretty much the bulk of the closer's pivot principle. Because you guys have stayed till the end, I do want to announce, I'm actually going to put together a fun little graphic for all of this. So assuming I get enough people that want it, okay? So I need y'all's comments to see whether it's even worth it for me to spin this up. What I'd like to do is kind of get the 4 points outlined in this graphic and essentially describe every single one of them so that when you're in a call and you got to switch from a cash close over to a double close or owner finance or realtor referral or realtor listing agreement, you kind of have a framework that you can go off of, right? Rather than just a script. But there'll be some loose scripting in there, okay? So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and comment the word pivot, all right? Like in that Friends episode, when they're moving the furniture and he's like, pivot, right? So go ahead and comment the word pivot. And if I see enough comments in there, me and my CMO, Chris, are going to put our heads together and we'll spin this up here within the next week. If you haven't gotten your freebie from last week, to Stop Getting Ghosted, we put together a banger PDF on that. It is pretty exciting. It looks beautiful. My CMO Chris has a massive background in graphic design before he got into TV and media and software and ads. So he's very, very interesting fella, but he is on our side, guys. So he's helping us make this stuff very digestible. Oh man, whoa. I'm already seeing 5 people who've commented pivot. That is awesome. Okay, guys. Looks like people are interested in this. So I'm going to have to get with Chris and get something together. We'll get that to you early next week. Okay, Jacob on my team will reach out to you. He should send you some sort of link or something to get the free PDF. If you're in the inner circle, we're starting to aggregate those in our school folder. I'll show you where that is on our next call. So want to make sure everybody has everything they need. If you're interested in our inner circle, last thing I'll say is we've got about 2 or 3 spots left for the month. So if you're interested in growing your close rates, again, there's 2 types of problems in an acquisition business. You have leads problems, you have conversion problems. We help solve the conversion problem. Okay, if you've got leads or you need help assessing whether you need more leads, that's what we do. And then we help you convert more leads from that point on. So if you're interested in converting more leads, go ahead and comment the word convert, or we can drop a link to Jacob's calendar and he can just run you through our process and see if it's a good fit. But we do have room for, I think, 2 more people this month. So if you're interested in joining the Land Closers Academy Inner Circle, Wade said Inner Circle is worth it. My man, appreciate you, sir. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth, y'all. Well, hey, if you come up with questions, guys, go ahead and comment them in this live here. I'm going to try to check them out throughout the next week and answer any questions. But hopefully this made sense. If you got value out of it, give it a little like, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.